started. My name is Vince DeBello, your host for this evening. To my left, Ms. Lisa Hudson, Mr. Suzanne Johnson, Ms. Shelley Allen, Mr. Steve Akita, Mr. Michael Clement, and Ms. Michelle Dalkey are absent today. If you would like to speak on anything on this evening's agenda, please fill out one of these blue cards. We have a couple of them, so if anyone else wants to fill one out, please provide it to the staff. We have a short video for your pleasure. Go ahead and start the video.
Welcome to the City of Mesa Planning and Zoning Board meeting. We appreciate your interest in the future development of our community and welcome your comments. At this time, we ask you to turn off or select the vibrate option on your mobile devices. Today's agenda includes a consent agenda. These items will be read into the record and acted on in one motion. If you would like to speak on any of these items, please fill out a blue card located in the back of the room and bring it to the front. The items will then be removed from the consent agenda and voted on individually. Each case will be introduced by city staff, then the applicant, followed by public comments. The Planning and Zoning Board makes recommendations to the City Council and votes on each case. City Council meetings are held twice a month at 5:45 p.m. in the Council Chambers. Visit mesaaz.gov to view their meeting schedule. All planning and zoning meetings are broadcast live and rebroadcast on Mesa Channel 11. To view the programming schedule, visit mesachannel11.com.
Great, thank you. First item on tonight's agenda is the meeting minutes from September 16th to September 17th. Study and regular sessions. Do we have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the minutes as written.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Please vote. Motion passes. Thank you. We do have a consent agenda this evening. All items are on the consent agenda. We do have a couple of items blue cards to speak that would like to speak on some cases. Therefore, case E2 Z14-49 will be removed from the consent agenda. We do have another item, Z1447, item E1. That's in support of the case. Do not wish to speak. This is a matter of record. We will not pull that from the consent agenda since that's an item for support and you do not wish to speak. That would be Patty Buckingham. If that's okay, we'll keep that on the consent agenda. Concurrence on that? Great. Ms. Lisa Hudson will read the consent agenda for tonight.
Okay, we'll start with item D1. Case number Z14-46 in District 6, located at 9151 East Guadalupe Road, located at the southwest corner of Ellsworth Road and Guadalupe Road, approximately 2 acres. This is a site plan modification and special use permit for a car wash. This request will allow the development of a car wash in association with an existing gas station. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item D2, case number Z14-48 in District 6, the 1300 block of South Sossaman Road, located south of Southern Avenue on the west side of Sossaman Road, approximately 4.9 acres. Site plan modification and a special use permit for a car wash. This request will allow for the development of a 5-lot commercial subdivision, including a car wash, in the LCPAD zoning district. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item number E1, case number Z14-47 in District 2 at 6335 East Main Street, located east of Wrecker Road on the south side of Main Street, approximately 7 acres. This is a council use permit request for the conversion of an existing shopping center to accommodate a private school. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item number F1, this is for a preliminary plat at the Sossaman Center in District 6, the 1300 block of South Sossaman Road, located south of Southern Avenue on the west side of Sossaman Road, approximately 4.9 acres. Staff recommendation is approval with condition. Also, let's see, a preliminary plat, item F2 at Heritage Village Assisted Living in District 5, 8035 East Brown Road on the south side, approximately 4.7 acres. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions.
Great, thank you. Is there a motion?
I would move it. I want to move that we approve the agenda as written, as it has been read.
Great, thank you. Is there a second? Who was it?
I'll second it.
Great, thank you. Please vote. Motion passes. If your case was on the consent agenda, you are free to leave. Thank you. Okay, we're going to consider case Z14-49, 155 South Hibbert, south of Main Street, west of Mesa Drive, 1.7 acres, rezoned from DR2 to DR3 to a T4 neighborhood flex form-based code. Mr. Stedman. Sorry about that. Would you like to give an overview?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members. Case Z14-049 at 155 South Hibbert in the downtown area is proposed to be developed by the ArtSpace Projects, and the proposal is a mixed-use residential multifamily rental project that will include ground-level commercial along the street frontage. The existing standard zoning ordinance kind of zoning for the site would allow multifamily. The form-based code transect, which is, remember, that's the form-based speak for a zoning district. So the form-based transect for that property that's already been established as possibly a good fit is limited to residential, and so this request for zoning would allow them to change to a slightly different transect. All of the development standards are the same between these two transects. The one they're going towards allows the commercial use on the ground floor at the street front, and this will allow them to have community space, gallery space, possibly a cafe, that sort of thing, in support of all of the artists who will live in this community and will be working within their units. The development will have will be focused around courtyards that can be used for art, working collaboratively, as well as art fairs where the public is invited to circulate through this site. So the request today is simply to rezone to that transect that allows the commercial at the ground level. Beyond that, they will be following the standards for becoming approved to build their project, and that means they have to go through a zoning clearance, and the planning director will sign off on that after we compare their project to the standards that are established in the form-based code.
Great, thank you. Since the City of Mesa is the owner, would the applicant like to make a presentation or address the board in any way?
Hello, thank you for having me speak. My name is Heidi Kurtz, and I am Vice President of Property Development for ArtSpace Projects. We're excited to be here, and as Kim stated in his staff report, we are trying to stay within the existing zoning and just provide these additional services that support our projects. Really, there's great examples of them throughout the United States. ArtSpace is headquartered in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we have been developing a live workspace for artists all over the country for 30 years. We have 36 projects in operation throughout the country. Each of them is unique to its community. So I don't want to make a full presentation today other than to just introduce myself and say we're very much committed to working with the community, spending a lot of time with the neighborhoods. We've had 2 information sessions and meetings already just in the last 10 days, and we'll continue to stay very engaged. And this project will fit well within the fabric of the neighborhood, just as all our others do around the country. And I'm happy to answer. We have the architect here as well, and we're available for questions.
Great. Board members, any questions at this time? Thank you.
Thank you.
We have two citizens that would like to speak on this case in no particular order. Mr. Greg Morris, if you'd like to address the board, you certainly can. You're in support of the case, as noted on your card.
Yes. I live at 134 South Hibbert, which is directly across the street. I'm generally in support of this project. I do have one concern, and that is with this zoning change, the setback will go from 20 feet to 0 feet. Their plan does not include 0 feet frontage on that, but it is a concern to me that they would be right there. With the height of the building at 3 stories, it's going to be quite a presence right there with houses across the street. That's my only concern, but as I said, I'm generally in support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, Leslie Smith would like to address the board. Name and address for the record. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for listening to me. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. This is kind of exciting. I've lived at 126 South Hibbert for, 15, 16 years. I remember when there were still houses and people living there, and the city of Mesa acquired it, and that was a very good move. I thought that was very appropriate. And I am not fully opposed to this project. I, like the gentleman who just spoke before, am concerned about destroying getting rid of all the sidewalk space. There will be no sidewalk. I went to the first meeting, and I have the proposed plan. I don't know if you've seen it.
We have.
Oh, well, you have. Well, if you notice, there's, they're going to do that, and that's very nice. They'd like to plant in front of it for there to be shades and all that. That's very nice. Unfortunately, there will be no sidewalk. And I'm concerned about the number of people who will be there. It won't be that, it's not as much as I thought it would. They're going to do less numbers of people being there. But there will be parking difficulties. There will also be problems with the power and the sewage and the street. I don't know if you probably don't live in the area, but I walk my dog every day. And before Brown & Brown Chevrolet emptied out, probably 3 times a week there would be a fairly prominent sewage smell near the corner there. And it's gone now, but so if we had 150 people, is this, this would require more upgrading of the sewage, and power, of course, will need to be upgraded. The other major concern I have is not necessarily besides the, dare I say, land grab to get rid of the sidewalk, to put the things in, would be changing the street. They would like to change the street and put a median in. I looked at their basic map, and I went and just roughly pasted off. To do that, there would not be enough space unless they have an extremely small median, one that would not be large enough to hold any trees, as they suggest, at the angled parking. I just roughly pasted on. So, of course, this will mean that they will have to take some of the road between the sidewalk and the street, where it is now, probably on both sides, so they can move the street over a little to make the median. I would like to see them move in. It would be very nice. But I have vast concerns about this. I think I've expressed them. And the people coming and going and the traffic, if there are art fairs and such, that would be fine. There's a lovely parking facility or space behind them and to the north. So there's a big empty lot right there. And I'm not sure if the city owns it or not, but it's unused and it's just paved. Of course, everybody else who lives there, their backyard will be there, but there's only 4 houses in the apartment buildings that are there. That would be really good, and then they could make a rear entrance also. I'm concerned about how it's going to change the neighborhood. It's not a spectacular neighborhood, but it's quiet and peaceful, and I love it. I realize most people who live in the immediate block are renters. I think there's 3 people that own places there, maybe 4, and a lot of people have them rented out. Well, I hope you consider those items that I mentioned. I'm sure you'll do the right thing, or you'll try to do the right thing anyway. And thanks for hearing me out.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for stating your concerns. Maybe as a point of clarification, staff can clarify what exactly our purpose is here tonight. I think he's operating on a lot more information than we have before us. It's really just changing the form-based code transect designation. We're not really reviewing site plan or related details associated with the project. You might want to clarify that a little bit for us.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's correct. What's interesting about the downtown area is that anyone who owns property in the downtown has the option right now, without going to the board, of either developing to the current zoning standards or of opting into the form-based code. And form-based usually brings the buildings, it tries to bring buildings to the street and build up a little mass so that you start having more of a town feel. And so the Art Space project could have opted into the one that allows them residential only. The only difference here is they would like to be rezoned from residential only to the one that allows them some commercial space at the street front. But as far as but we are working with them, and all the standards are laid out in the ordinance of what they have to meet, and I believe there was possibly a misprint or some misinformation about the sidewalk width. I believe it's 12 or 13 feet that they're proposing of sidewalk there, so that there will be a comfortable sidewalk in front of that project. But what this board is doing tonight is simply determining if it's appropriate for them to have the commercial use at the ground floor. Not any of the other issues. They already, by right, just as you do, since you live in the town center, you could opt in to your form-based code and develop to that standard instead of the existing.
Well, actually, I couldn't because I have a historic home.
You wouldn't want to.
No, the gentleman next to me, his home is historic also.
Right.
If you could come to the microphone, please.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, well, these are the things that I was concerned about, was changing the thing and changing the street and all that. There are some historic homes there. The one just east of me was made in 47. Mine was in 32. I saw the stamp on the bottom on one of the beams that says how it was treated for termites in 1940. And, my tile roof is, all the tiles are a different size because of the guy's thigh that they made it on. And there's handprints on the adobe on the inside in the basement. My neighbor, their house is they changed the front, so it's no longer a historic house, but the rest of it is. So we're concerned about that too. But if there's still going to be a sidewalk and all that, and they won't have to change everything else, I'm also concerned about the street. I have no problem with artists. I mean, that's wonderful. And small business, he mentioned when I went to the first meeting, I wasn't able to go to the second one because I had to work. But about how there would be, maybe some daycare, dance classes, painting classes. There would be an office space for taking care of all the paperwork and all that stuff, and that's why they needed the zoning changed. Grand, but I'm not real big on having maybe art fairs with people moving around all the time, creating lots of havoc. And I was also concerned about the number of people that will be living there and the supervision of them, because while the city of Mesa is a great place to live, and it is, downtown, the city of Mesa has treated me wonderfully. They've been very prompt to all my concerns and things I've worried about. But as I say, I walk the dog every day, and my wife walks the dog every day. If there are large numbers of, shall we say, youth with time on their hands, there will be trouble. You know, I've already seen chalked gang signs and stuff on the sidewalks and stuff like that. And I wouldn't want this to be the opportunity for an expansion of that. I don't think it will be. I hope it won't. But it would be one of the concerns I hope that the city keeps in mind.
All right, Mr. Smith, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, any comments, questions? I do have one question for the applicant. Oh.
I just wanted to say one more thing. I have no objection to light retail in that site. So since that's what you're going for, I have no objection.
Well, thank you. I do have a question for the applicant. Just a quick question for you. I'm just curious, as you move forward, I've seen some emails and kind of the neighborhood meetings that you're having and open house, or whatever you want to call it. What are your next steps from here? How are you kind of directing or getting input from the community, and how you're proceeding in that fashion?
Sure. Well, the last two meetings we had were more informational, us just kind of telling the community who we are, what we're about, what our projects are about. So this next set of meetings we'll be having prior to a site plan approval are really workshops where people can come in and really sit around a table, talk to us about what they'd like to see in the development. We'll get it developed a little bit further so that there's something to react to, but not far enough that, we don't want to just say, here's our final site plan without getting a lot of input from both the neighborhood and the artists in the community who wish to live and participate in the project. So we'll be having at least 2 of those kind of roll up your sleeves workshops led by ArtSpace and the architect and our NEDCO and our partners in the community. So those are the next steps in terms of the site planning phase.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Yep.
So I have a question. According to the drawing, you are fairly close to the sidewalk in your building. Is that correct, if I'm looking at the drawing correctly? I know the concern, I think the citizen, it is fairly close to it's in the middle of a residential area. Is there any way you could put a setback a little bit on that to give more space? Is that a possibility?
Well, if I can answer, they are constrained to follow the code, and the code establishes a maximum and a minimum setback, because that's kind of how form-based works.
I was just going to ask if this is Doug McCord, our architect, and I'm going to let him address that question. Kim kind of did. What are we showing as the setback right now?
I think, well,
Name
right
and
now,
address. I'm sorry. Name and address.
my name is Doug McCord, Principal and Director of Design at Architectural Resource Team. Address is 99 East Virginia Avenue in Phoenix. What we're showing right now on the site plan is based on the assumption that we were going to proceed forward with the T4NF, the Flex form-based code, in which I think it's like a zero preferred build-to line. There are no real setbacks. It's a build-to line on the street frontage, which is 0 feet, I believe.
As I recall, the T4NF is from 0 to 15 max setback.
Yeah.
So they have that range that they can work in, but we do try to encourage be as close to the 0 as possible.
I don't have it in front of me.
From the property line.
From the property line,
From the
right.
property line, not from the curb.
Right.
So it is set back from the curb. Yeah.
Yeah, right now we have from the property line, I believe it's 12 to 15 feet for sidewalk, for outdoor cafe space. We have a 4-foot landscape buffer, then we have a bike lane, and then another 4-foot landscape buffer is what we're showing currently. But
All right. Steve, does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Great. Thank you. Mr. Smith, I encourage you to stay engaged. They're going to, have, sounds like workshops and other things where you can provide some input. So I encourage you to stay engaged in that process.
Well, certainly. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Okay. Is there someone like to make a motion?
I'd make a motion that we approve case Z1440.
I'm sorry.
I was going to mention one thing. I spoke to the gentleman the first meeting, and he said part of the reason why they had it with zero space was because of the fire codes. They had to have enough space between the back and the side buildings that they have designed for fire trucks to be able to come in and drive through, which means that to have the space for the fire trucks to drive through, they need the zero space because there won't be enough room, I believe. So that was one thing you should probably look at in the zoning, is the fire code to make sure there's enough space to have the 12 to 15 feet or whatever it is, and still be able to have the fire trucks go through around the back of the building.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
I'd make a motion that we approve case number ZA1449, 155 South Gilbert Road, to rezone it from DR4 or DR2 to DR3. Let me start that over. Rezone from DR2 and DR3 to T4.
I'll second that.
And F.
All right. There's a motion, a second.
Second. That's Steve, second.
Please vote. All right, motion passes. Thank you. I believe that concludes the meeting for tonight. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.